Mark Kelso standing by from the Buffalo Bills. Do you need a break? Or, let me get Mark in because I don't want him to wait much longer. Since the game ended yesterday, he couldn't wait to talk to us. Mark Kelso, Buffalo Bills, good morning. How are you?
I'm well.
Yeah.
Well, good. I can wait to talk to anybody.
Yeah. Listen, that was painful, but we learned a lot. Can we look at it that way?
Unfortunately, a lot of things you learned were in the negative, and you're not ready in a bunch of areas. The offensive line didn't have a lot of synergy and couldn't move out those guys. I mean, they have a really good front seven, but they couldn't find any running room for LaShawn McCoy, and he's one of the best in the business. And if he can't find it, there's nobody else going to find it. I mean, Marcus Murphy had some modest success when the game was not in question anymore, and the receiving corps continued to. I mean, they really no one defined themselves there, and didn't help in certain situations. Quarterbacks. I mean, Nathan Peterman missed. It seemed like he missed, a tight end down the seam that may have put points on the board. So, and he wasn't particularly sharp. They brought some pressure, and he threw that ball where he typically would throw it. But Brandon Carr jumped it. So there's plenty of blame to go around. The defense did not play well either, and they just need to go back and retool and get prepared for this week because the gas pedal's going to be down for the Chargers. They're not going to have any sympathy for the Bills, that's for sure.
Okay, so any takeaway? If you read any of the quote unquote experts, the pundits early on, they predicted exactly pretty much what happened. That a lot of it was surrounding that offensive line. And the fact that it lacked synergy, it's basically a new offensive line. So as you try to find positives, obviously Josh Allen, I thought he threw well. What was your take? And do you think he's going to be starting this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, hard to make that assessment. I mean, I'm sure Coach McDermott and staff will kind of mull that over with some healthy discussion and may not have consensus. I don't know if they'll have consensus, but there's some things that Josh Allen can do. I am of the contention. I mean, I think you can ruin a young player if you put him in there too early, but, I mean, both of those players are young players. I think it's saying who do you believe can execute the offense more effectively and more efficiently. I mean, I think it didn't seem like they were as varied personnel as I thought they would be yesterday. The screen game wasn't even a part of the package. It didn't seem like, which I thought would be an effective strategic measure or play for them offensively, particularly with all the man coverage that Baltimore tends to employ on the back end. But so I mean, they're going to make the decision, and is Josh Allen ready? I mean, he can do some things that with his arm strength and stretching the field down the vertically that Nathan Peterman can't do as effectively, but the only guy they have that has demonstrated the ability to get behind the defense is Robert Foster, who's again a young player. So I'm not sure what you're going to do in that situation. They have to simplify things and they've got to get the ball out really quick, and they've got to find themselves a running game. I mean, a quarterback's best friend is a good running game, and if you don't have a good running game, you're going to struggle regardless of who's the quarterback.
So in the midst of on the TV side, I apologize, I did not hear the game on radio yesterday, but on the TV side, I don't know, the middle of the third quarter, they're already talking about next year. I mean, what is your? I mean, is a little premature, you think?
Well, yeah, without question. I mean, again, it was the first game that this offensive line they played together in a regular season game. It's the first time. I mean, the secondary, Philip Gaines is a new addition this year, so he wasn't involved with them last year, nor was Teron Johnson. So you got different guys playing there. You got Tremaine Edmonds, who has really great promise and has demonstrated great maturity and a really high football acumen, but he's 20 years old or maybe he turned 21, I don't know, but he's extremely young, and so a guy that's going to continue to grow every opportunity that he has. So they just need to change some things up, and they need to be more aggressive. If they're going to, I mean, the completion percentage was really high, and the third down conversion rate was very favorable for the Ravens. I mean, you got to do some things to disrupt that. They couldn't get a pass rush. They couldn't disrupt the timing of that that Raven offense. And when they had Trent Murphy in there at the same time as they had Jerry Hughes in, but that didn't happen too often. I think they were trying to protect the injury that Trent Murphy suffered in the preseason. But when they had those two guys in there, they were able to disrupt the timing a bit. So, I mean, that's something that needs to happen. Hopefully both those guys will be healthy, and you'll be able to force that ball out a little bit more quickly, and guys will be in position. But yesterday, I mean, Joe Flacco was able to stand back there most of the time. And a couple times when he wasn't, he was able to scramble and still look downfield and find somebody open.
When do you think we'll hear on the starter? When do you think that announcement will be made?
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of think they'll keep that close to the vest. I don't know that you'll hear an announcement even till real late in the week, or maybe not even till game time. I'm sure, again, they'll make an assessment and who do they figure can handle this game plan most effectively and efficiently. And I mean, I'm not opposed. Wouldn't be opposed to giving Josh Allen an opportunity, again, because of the strength of his arm, but there's some things he has to do. When you start to scramble as a quarterback, I mean, you've got to keep your eyes downfield, and you can't scramble with the intention to run. You have to scramble with the intention to still throw the ball downfield, and occasionally you have to run, because if you run with any consistency as a quarterback, you're going to get lit up, and you're going to suffer some punishment, and you don't want to do that to expose yourself to those kinds of injuries. But it remains to be seen. Again, I know Nathan Peterman has demonstrated great maturity, certainly played the best in the preseason, but yesterday was not particularly good. Both interceptions, I mean, one was an overthrow, which was you probably have to put on him. The other one was he threw it where he would typically throw it to Kelvin Benjamin, I believe it was intended for, but they had brought pressure, so Brandon Carr was jumping the route. So in that case, you got to throw it on the back shoulder, and because you know that cornerback's going to be inside in that situation. So maybe a misfire and maybe miss somebody down the middle of the field as well. So everybody has responsibilities, and Nathan Peter, I'm sure, will accept his responsibility, as should all the other 10 guys on the offense.
Well, let's hope for better this weekend. Mark Kelso, as always, we appreciate your time, and we'll do this again next week.
Yeah, look forward to it. Have a good day, guys.
Thanks so much. Mark Kelso with the Buffalo Bills. Boy, what a rough day that was yesterday. Oof.